beauties, welcome back to my channel. I am going to show you guys how to do a powder foundation routine. I know that you guys want to see some eye looks and I apologize. I promise I'm going to be right on top of that ASAP. However, starting tonight, I am going to be using Retin-a on my face. And if you know anything about this stuff, I can expect to be extremely red, extremely irritated, dry skin, and possibly like blisters and acne. So this is going to be an experience. And I knew that if I didn't get this video up now, that honestly, I don't know when I would be able to do it because my face is going to be super sensitive. So I went ahead and filmed it now. And honestly, I think that powder foundations are underestimated. And I think that if you know how to do it, you would love to do it. So by request, this is what I shot today. And this is all powders on my face right now. If you would like to see how I achieved this amazing powder foundation look, just keep watching. The very first thing you want to do when you are going to use powder foundation is either to A, make sure your skin is very moisturized, or B, use a primer. There's different kinds of primers and moisturizers that are good for both oily skin and dry skin. But if you do not create a layer of something underneath the powder, it won't have anything to hold on to. So even if it goes on nicely to begin with, you'll notice that it does not last you all day like it should. For dry skin, I definitely recommend doing both. You want to make sure that you moisturize your skin, let it sink in, and then put a primer on top. And for oily skin, if you don't want to moisturize, that's fine. However, just know that if you're not moisturizing your skin every single day, then you're just creating more oil on your skin because it's overcompensating. But to each their own, I understand that. And even normal skin, make sure that you're doing at least one of the two. A couple primers I like for people that have either dehydrated, dry skin, or normal skin is this one by MAC is Natural Radiance. I personally love this because it does two things. It hydrates your skin and it controls oil. So it's not going to make somebody who has dry skin really tight, but it's not going to make somebody who has oily skin really oily. So, and by tight, I mean the skin that just feels tight because it's too dry. So this one is amazing for that. This one I really like for people that need some extra hydration, but not necessarily any moisture. This is Mineralize Timecheck Lotion. What this does is create a very silky layer. This helps to blur pores and lines, but it also hydrates. So instantly and over time, you're going to notice a difference in your skin, but this one's still really great for oily people too. So don't be afraid to use this because it does not make your skin dewy by any means. But on the same note, if you are extra dry, with that primer, make sure that you moisturize underneath it. My oily skin girls out there, this one is really nice. This is Prep and Prime MAC Skin Primer. And this one is very filling. It fills in any lines and pores and creates a very smooth texture. So this is one of those primers that is really great for texture. And it controls oil for you. I personally today am going to go with the new Marc Undercover Perfecting Face Primer just because I've really been loving the way this makes my skin feel, and I always go in with a second one anyway right on my pores, so I'm going to be using two. The second one will be the Step 1 Skin Equalizer Smoothing from Makeup Forever. If you're oily, you'll definitely like this one as well. So go ahead and prime your skin. And if you have moisturized, make sure that you wait a good 20 minutes before applying your primer. 15 minutes really, but I like to do 20. Now that I've applied that one, I'm going in with my Makeup Forever Skin Equalizer. And I'm just going to be putting this on my pores. I don't want to put it up on my forehead or chin or my nose because this is a powder foundation, so it can be a little dry. And those are the areas that get dry. Like my nose can look really cracky and gross, so I'm gonna skip it. Now that I have a nice base for my powder foundation to cling onto, I'm going to start everything. But first, the very first thing I'm going to do, which is not typical when I'm doing my liquid foundation routine, I am going to apply my concealer. And the reason I am doing this is because if you put your whole powder foundation on and then you go in with your concealer, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes the concealer being liquid and then meeting up with the powder on top, it can get a little cakey, gross, and kind of separate. So I always apply anything cream before the powders. I'm going in with my MAC Mineralize Concealer in NC20. This is just one shade, sorry, NC15, and this is just one shade lighter than my skin tone. It is so weird for me to already have my eyes done in this video because I never do my eyes first. Now I'm going to blend it out with one of my new obsessions. And don't worry, I'm so going to talk about this brush because this is worth every penny. But this is the MAC Oval 6, and I'm just going to buff this out underneath my eyes. Smooth like butter. Now I'm using 2 different shades of the MAC Studio Fix Powder Foundation. And the reason why I'm using 2 different shades is because when I'm doing my liquid foundation, obviously I put on my concealer and then I set it with a light colored powder. So I'm kind of doing the same thing. So I'm going to set this with a lighter colored powder and then I'm going to go back in with the skin tone colored one. So this is NC15, the same color as what my concealer was. I'm just going to pat and buff this in. I am not going up here, up where my eyes are, because I don't want it to be cakey or crepey or, you know, all those fun things. I don't want it to look dry up there. And this is a really nice brush. I'm using this one because it's still dense, but it's a little fluffier because I don't want as much product here as I do on the rest of my face. And this is an IT Cosmetics. It's a dual-ended one. I've had this for a while, but I don't know what this guy is called. Make sure you are pressing this into your skin, not buffing, because we have put liquid product here, and if you buff, you're going to disturb it. Down here, where we don't have anything other than primer, it's completely okay to buff, but on top of creams, always press. Another powder that I think is really nice for setting these areas and really a nice powder foundation as well is the Nars one. This color is light. This is All Day Luminous Powder Foundation. This one's really nice as well, but my favorite is the MAC one. I really like to use this one setting the concealer underneath my eyes if I want some more coverage, but just noting that this is a good one as well. Still with the MAC Studio Fix. This is NC30, so this one is what is going to match my skin tone, and I'm going to grab a MAC 109 for this. I love this brush because you can really buff into the skin, but then also press it in where we have different skin issues that we want to cover up. But really anything that is dense is going to work really well. This one works nice. This one actually works really nice, but I've been using this for a lot of my cream products, so I didn't feel like washing it right now, so I'm not going to use this one. Another brush option would be this one from Real Techniques, and this is the buffing brush. So this one, just basically anything that's nice and dense. So I'm going to swirl the brush into my product and get a nice amount on there. Do not tap off the extra because you want it on your face, which is another thing when using a dense brush, you're going to get more application onto your face. Rather than using something fluffy, it is just going to kick up everywhere and go anywhere but your face when you're applying it. Fluffy brushes are really good when you want minimal product application, but for somebody who wants coverage, always go with something dense. So I am buffing this in circular motions onto my skin, and immediately you can see how much coverage I'm getting out of this powder. It's so beautiful. But go ahead and do this everywhere that you did not put that lighter color and kind of meet around the edges. Like right here, I am buffing the 2 together. Now, for all of you that are going to have issues with coverage, what you want to do is swirl your brush in there and then start to press. Instead of buffing it on, you want to press it on, and that helps to cover any imperfections that you might have, whether it be acne scars, acne, like active acne, or any just red spots on your face. You just want to press instead of buffing. Something that people don't usually think of is that powder oxidizes too, and it does it at a much slower rate than what liquids do. So what people have noticed is they'll get a color thinking, oh, this matches perfectly, and then if like midway through the day they're like, it's orange, it's horrible, I don't like it. Once your skin starts to produce those natural oils, it mixes in with the foundation and it turns to its true color. So when you're getting matched, make sure that you're using a setting spray or a makeup finishing spray so that it oxidizes it right then. So I'm going to use Max Fix Plus. This is going to make it a little bit darker because it's going to force it to oxidize right now, but it's also going to make all this powder look like skin again. So if you like to have a more matte finish, skip this step. Just make sure that you're getting matched to the right color. But if you want something that's going to be a little bit more natural and a little less powdery, spray your face with some Fix Plus. Make sure you allow this to dry before adding any more product. And another reason why I do this in between steps is because when I go in to add my bronzer and there's already a lot of powder on my face, that powder has stuck on to the primer. Now I need something for my bronzer to hold on to a little bit better, because sometimes when you use a lot of powder, which typically you end up doing with a powder foundation, anything that's loose on top will just fall off. So spraying this makes it look like skin again, but it also makes it it's almost like it's compact. Think of powder just kind of floating on your skin, but then when it's sprayed, it's kind of put together, and it makes powder applications on top of this go on so much better. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I hope it does. And just make sure it's dry before you go in. Otherwise, you'll have patchiness because some areas will be a little bit more damp and other areas will be dry. So just make sure you're completely dry before adding your bronzer. And also, do not touch anything that might, like if this sprays a little bit and you've got little dots, don't touch it, because if you touch it, your makeup's gonna come off with your finger. So don't do that. Just be patient. Now my skin is much more glowy, and I like that. Again, if you like the matte look, you do you, girl. I'm grabbing my Marc Jacobs the bronze brush and the Hourglass Luminous Bronze Light, and I'm going to bronze up my skin. You can see this isn't patchy at all, and it's going on just like it would if I had a liquid foundation on underneath. I love this. This does not even look like powder foundation. If you're doing it right, it really shouldn't. For my blush, I'm going to use Hourglass Diffused Heat. Tapping off the extra on this one because it is so pink. You see how it's still grabbing the same as it would if I had liquids on. That is what you want. If you are having issues getting things to stick, just grab some Fix Plus or really any setting spray. And I'm gonna buff this out. So that's it, guys. I hope that you guys try this. Honestly, this is a lot quicker for me to do than my everyday liquid foundation routine. But I think it's also really great for a lot of different skin types. So you just have to work with different products, apply in different ways, and just kind of trial and error. But I really do enjoy the way that this looks. I'm kind of happy that somebody wanted me to film this because I had not stocked back up on Studio Fix since my last surgery on my shoulder. But I hope this was informative. If you guys liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate you guys, and come back.